Lee. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So it's nice to meet you virtually. I
Yes, you
know,
as well.
thank you. So I know connecting over video call can feel a little different from like in-person visits. So I just, we're gonna take things at a pace that's comfortable for you, um, and just kind of go with that. But I just wanted to start off, see how your day was going. How are you doing today? Feeling?
I'm okay. Yeah, it's definitely I've never, done any sort of therapy like this. I've done therapy before, but never virtual, so it's definitely a different experience for me. But I mean, I am grateful for the ability to do it virtually. It's just easier, t schedule wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well today.
Okay. Yeah, so many people find it like a little awkward to start, over the video. Um, so it's completely normal to feel that way. But we'll take it at your pace. So before we begin though, I just briefly wanted to go over confidentiality. If you've been in therapy before, I'm sure you know about it. But I just want to reiterate that everything we discuss in our sessions stays private unless there is a concern about safety for you, for someone else, or there's like a legal requirement where I would have to report it.
Okay.
Also, since we're on video, make sure that you're in a private space where you feel comfortable speaking freely and talking about the things that you're going to share. So if you ever need to step away, feel comfortable doing so, just let me know. I'll stop. And we will go from there. Does
Okay.
that sound good?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. All right, so since this is our first meeting, and we're just meeting and getting to know each other, I just want to learn a little bit more about like what brought you in to seek therapy services and what maybe you're hoping to improve.
So I wanted to come to therapy because I have been really struggling with anxiety recently, just kind of um struggling to balance like my work. I'm also going to school to get my master's degree, trying to balance work, school, my personal life. I am also a um, first grade teacher, which comes with its own challenges in itself. So I think I've been kind of, struggling with is being a teacher in elementary exactly what I want to be doing. I'm fairly new to everything, so I just kind of wanted to come and get help and learn ways to manage my anxiety with everything going on.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So I hear that definitely feeling a little bit overwhelmed,
Yeah.
maybe struggling with like some self-identity if you want to continue teaching and if it's too much. Um, so tell me how long you have been dealing with this anxiety for.
Um, I would say for maybe like the last year, I um recently moved completely different states to be closer to my younger sister who I'm very close with. Um, so I moved closer to where she is, but I left, everything that I've ever known. Um, and that was about a year ago. And I think that that's probably about when I started. And at first, I just kind of, thought it was culture shock,
Yeah.
living in the Northeast my entire life and then moving to um, North Carolina. It was completely different. I did have my sister, but I didn't have any of my friends. I didn't have my parents, who I'm also very close with. Um, so it's just kind of been piling on. And I think probably about last like 3-ish months, it's gotten really bad. And that's kind of when I realized that um, I needed a little more help.
Okay. Um, so I also just wanted to note that if you hear me typing, or see me looking down, I'm just taking some notes.
Okay.
Um, my short-term memory is not that good.
That's
So
okay.
I just want to make sure I have everything down accurately. Um, okay, so the past 3 months, you would say it's been getting worse, but you've been dealing with it for about a year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I would say it was, I mean, pretty manageable up until about 3 months ago. Yeah.
3 months ago. Okay. All right. Um, so since let's go back 3 months, did anything happen 3 months ago? That you could maybe pinpoint it to?
Um, my best guess is I guess 3 months ago was, the start of the new year. And my parents had come down to visit my sister and I. And they were here for about a week. So it was, I have seen them since, after I moved down, I've seen them before um, New Year's and when they were down here for a week. But I think it was just kind of them being here. I was always going back to New York.
Hmm.
And so I think it was just kind of that situation of they were now in the place that I am calling home, and then they left, and it was I'm like I mentioned earlier, I'm very, very close with my family. Um, and so it was really difficult for me when they left.
Okay. So I am also hearing that you have a pretty good support system.
Yeah,
Parents, sister. Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, all right. So can you tell me a little bit more about how this has been affecting, like your everyday life?
Yeah, so I have been experiencing some like headaches recently. Which is not abnormal for me. I get headaches a lot, but they've just been more frequent. Um, I have a lot of difficulty sleeping at night.
Mm.
Falling asleep is really, really difficult. It's just like my mind keeps racing. Staying asleep, so the next day I'm exhausted. And then I go and teach in first grade, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I'm
that has to be crazy.
yeah,
That has to
so.
feel very overwhelming.
Yeah. And I mean, going off of that, I do just feel very overwhelmed with um work, and then I have no motivation to, do my schooling because I'm getting my master's in um education.
Mhm.
Um and so I have no motivation to do my schooling, but I know that getting my master's is something that I really want to do. Um but I get home and all I want to do is lay in bed. So everything's kind of been piling on.
Yeah, okay. I can understand that. Have you tried anything so far to cope with like these feelings? Whether it be with your exhaustion, not being able to sleep, the headaches.
Um, I have tried a couple things that like in the past have been really good
Okay.
um for me mentally. I physical activity has always been
Hmm.
really good for me. So I have tried going on runs, but again, it's kind of like the motivation to do that has been lacking.
Okay.
Even though I know it will be beneficial to me, I just really struggle like getting out and doing that. Um, as for sleep, I've tried um, going to bed earlier. I've tried, not having caffeine late in the day. I've tried um, I don't really like the idea of melatonin or anything like that. But I, um, I've been trying to better my sleep. It's just like my mind just keeps racing at night.
Racing. Okay. All right. So that gives me a little bit more information, especially regarding the racing thoughts. So we can work on that. So I want to ask you, so when you start feeling even a little bit better, what would you hope, or what would you like to see be different?
I think mainly I just want to see, I want to feel less overwhelmed and like less chaotic in life. I feel like I'm constantly going. Um, and whether it's physically or just my brain is doing that. So I think I would just like to feel um less overwhelmed and kind of more um motivated to um, go to school and less kind of like more structured.
Okay,
Um, I guess if that's the right way to phrase that, kind of just less chaotic and more,
structured.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think that what I'm hearing is we have two goals that we would like to work on. Less overwhelm and more structure, and then more motivation.
Yes,
You
yeah,
agree
for
with
sure.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Um, all right, so today I heard a lot about what's been going on. I heard that, that you're overwhelmed, stressed, um, maybe having some self-identity crisis with
Hmm.
teaching and the motivation that you're lacking at this time. And that you want to work towards those two goals that we just discussed. Less overwhelm, and more motivation.
Yep,
Does that
definitely.
sound right?
Yep.
Okay. So before we finish, because we're coming up on our time here, is there anything else that's significant or important to you that you want to make sure that we focus on?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, just being in therapy in the past, I do um think it's important to note that my dad does have a history of depression and anxiety. So
Okay.
I know that mental health symptoms run in my family, and he manages it with medication and therapy.
Okay, great. So I think I did see that maybe on some intake paperwork.
Hmm.
And we can cover that a little bit more in detail about family history at our next meeting, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you could maybe fill me in on that and give me some more details and we can discuss that.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
yeah, so I appreciate you sharing everything you did today. I know it takes courage,
Hmm.
and I know this is not your typical therapy session, but I'm
Yeah,
glad you took the time to join me today. And we will reconvene next week, and hopefully work on making some progress towards those goals.
perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.